No, we're live.
Hey, we're doing this.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Or if you're in another time zone, good morning.
Or good evening.
Good evening. We are really glad to be here again with you. And we just wanted to talk about a few questions that we've had brought to us from different places. And one question we keep getting reoccurring is this going to be a video podcast?
No.
I can tell you with great joy in my heart that it is not. We are doing these video because we're not talking to you for a long time, but...
Right, so we've been doing Facebook Lives to just kind of engage and help people know a bit about who we are. But the podcast itself is just an audio podcast. We may surprise you with an occasional video podcast down the way, but initially the first 25 episodes in season 1 are all audio.
Yeah, and that's partly because we are not experts at filming, and also because I think it's just a little bit more, it's easier to access when it's audio. You can get it through, you'll be able to get it through iTunes, and you'll be able to get it on your devices. As you can tell, we are technical gurus here.
Geniuses.
On your iPod, you'll be able to get it on your MP3 player.
Oh dear. Terrible. No, but it is facilitated different listening accessibility. You'll be able to listen when you're commuting or, you know, kind of whatever context, doing the dishes. It doesn't require having to have a video screen to be able to watch. So we are pleased about that. And some people have been asking when is it going to launch and how will we get to listen to it? Actually, I had a friend message from Nepal the other day wondering, is this a podcast? Because that's not super familiar for them.
So far, we're not telling you anything deep. Mostly, we're just making jokes.
This is what we're excited about. No.
So the podcast, we can't actually tell you the date. We just learned this today.
iTunes will help determine when it drops.
Yeah.
But early November, and if you've signed up on www.downtoearthpodcast.com, you can sign up your email address. You will be notified. We'll send you an email right away and let you know when it's launched, so you won't miss anything. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, and you can always continue. Yeah, I mean, you can listen to them at any time.
Yeah,
because all 25 episodes will be there.
No, not right away.
Oh, no, not right away.
No, not right away.
But if you miss one, you can come back.
Yeah, you can come back, and that's the good part about being able to re-listen or share something.
Or you can fast forward through them too.
They're not like stories that disappear in 24 hours.
Yeah.
My sister is asking whether we're going to still do Facebook Lives once in a while, and the truth is, yeah, we actually are. Probably not with as much frequency as we're doing right now in the launch phase, but we're kind of having a bit of fun with doing the Facebook Lives, and so we'll jump on, especially if you send in questions or comments or things you want to kind of connect with us around. That helps us know what we should talk about in a Facebook Live.
Yeah, and we're also always happy. We do want this to be dialogue, so we're happy for you to listen to something and go, no, I totally disagree.
Right.
And to be able to
push back
a little bit.
Totally.
That's the kind of girls we are.
Yeah, we like a good debate.
Yeah, and I think part of that actually creates community and dialogue. And I think in recent years, what has happened in the blogosphere, Twitterverse, or whatever you want to call it, I think there's been this calcification of ideas. So people decide, I believe this one thing, and I cannot be moved. And it has created... sides on issues that I think is really unhealthy and has caused lack of dialogue. So
very alienating.
Yeah, and I think really the way that our churches are set up in these days is for calcification of ideas. And I just wonder if we need to push back on that a little bit and say, well, let's have dialogue. Let's actually say maybe, and I think some of us, at least for myself, I'm a verbal processor.
Right.
So I'll say some things out loud, and then someone will say to me, yeah, but have you ever thought about this? And I have to go, oh yeah, what I first said made no sense at all. And so that's what we really want to foster here. We want to foster dialogue, and maybe you won't dialogue with us, but you'll dialogue with other people.
And it's different than relativism. We're not talking about it can all be true, whatever.
Sure.
But the idea that we need iron sharpening iron, and I think particularly in the church we've had talking head ideologies. So the uber people then talk at the people, and then all the people have to accept what's said. And we're way past that. We live in a postmodern kind of culture, and Jessica and I really want dialogue to be important. So whether we ever get to meet you personally or have a deep conversation about some of the things we're bringing, we would hope that you would enter into conversation that maybe even goes a little beyond your own head or heart, and shoot in some stuff to us. So that helps us, it sharpens us, and it makes an increased ability to learn from one another, or what we might call a mutual reciprocity.
Yeah.
Pretty important to us.
Yeah.
One other thing, if you have any questions, particularly for this Facebook Live, go ahead and start shooting some stuff in. Sorry, I'm getting messages. But if you have any questions, fire them in. But we got a great question a few days ago from Richard Fox. Shout out to Richard in the United Kingdom. Tuba player extraordinaire and local pastor, which is not a common duo. Who is a professional tuba player, and
He's played for the Queen.
Yeah, he's played for the Queen. He's also played with Snarky Puppy, which like, I loved Richard. I told him this the last time I saw him. I love the guy. Callum was in his wedding party, close friends. But up until I found out that he played with Snarky Puppy in Norway or wherever it was, Jazz Festival, then I was like, oh my goodness, I don't even have words, because they would be my favorite jazz fusion band in the world. Anyways, I digress. Richard sent a question.
It was a good question.
I thought it was excellent. He said, okay, so I watched this thing about episode 1 or season 1 when we went through some of the different episode content. And he said you used some, bigger words like soteriology, and I can't remember what else we used. I don't think we used eschatology, but maybe a word like that. And then he said, I wasn't sure, am I supposed to be pitching this to my clergy colleagues, or would people from my local church listen to this? Like, who am I supposed to be sharing about the podcast with? And we thought, that's an awesome question. Partly because you might have caught that if you watched that Facebook Live, by the way, all the videos are archived, right? So you can watch them. And the one where I interviewed Jess that didn't do well because it was weak technology that day, we've uploaded it onto YouTube. So you can look on our Down to Earth podcast launch page and find a link there and watch it. But anyways, I said, when we did this interview and I talked soteriology, then I followed it with theology of salvation, right? So we're giving explanation, and the goal is to make the really deep stuff really accessible to people who have no theological training, and conversely to take like the real how do we live practicality and help pastors get a different imagination for how it gets on the ground.
Right. So
Fair?
The bottom line is, I think it's for anybody who'd be interested. I also think the dialogical nature of the discussion makes it accessible.
And it makes it
I'm making
particularly
jokes
right
at you
all the time.
at your expense. I'm sorry.
I think part of why we're doing a dialogue format is an experiment in terms of a new teaching style in dialogue in podcast is to try to reach particularly millennials. We can be honest about this because they think more fluidly, they're less linear in their thinking, and they value dialogue. They value mutuality. They value authenticity. So that's what we're trying to do. So would we say only millennials should listen to this? Absolutely not. Would we say only people that attend church should listen to it, but clergy don't bother? No. So we kind of think it's maybe for everyone that's interested.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah, so I guess what we're saying is that I think it's going to be accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
I think we don't have, it's not so heady that you can't get your head around it.
Right, we don't want to be talking over people's heads, but we don't want to treat average folks who might claim to follow Christ as if they don't have brains.
Right.
We're smart people, so let's think.
Yeah, and I think we're really hoping that it's just going to provoke good questions in us.
Yes. We're getting a comment from Debbie saying, I love that we need to level the table in the church.
Yeah, which is absolutely what we're trying to do.
Yep. Level the playing field.
Yeah. Which is why we're going to really, really value your feedback.
So who has a question? Anybody? We're waiting. Or a comment. This is when Facebook Lives get incredibly awkward.
Yes, this is like
Talk amongst yourselves.
If you are from the 80s, you're Bueller. Anybody have a question? I'm supposed to say something to Eden because she's watching right now. So Eden's my 4-year-old daughter.
Hi, Eden.
And she wanted me to say, I love you.
Oh, that's awesome. Connor corrected me after my little interview the last time. He watched it and he was really mad because he said I was supposed to say that he is cute.
Oh.
And I said he was awesome, and apparently that wasn't enough. Jeopardy music. Well,
yeah, that's all.
www.downtooearthpodcast.com. Sign up. That'll give you, access to all the information about when launch is happening. And we're going to go soon.
Yeah.
Early November.
It's exciting.